We begin on the south side of Billings this morning, where a man was taken to the hospital after being stabbed in the head. The stabbing was reported just before 4 o'clock this morning at 410 South 30th Street. There, officers found a 34-year-old male victim with a stab wound to his head. A 26-year-old female suspect was located and taken into custody. Her name hasn't been released, but she now faces charges of assault with a weapon and partner family member assault. The severity of the victim's injuries has not been released. From our schools, a night of celebration for Billings School District 2 officials after long-awaited public approval. This morning's results show the $971,000 high school mill levy passing by about 20%. It's the first operational high school levy Billings voters have passed in a dozen years. It will replace old textbooks and technology and improve career readiness.
Well, we're excited to say the least, and pleased and grateful, humbled by the community's support, very much so. Now the work begins. We want to begin the career pathways that we talked about in the high schools, and I'm sure our counselors are excited, and our teachers are excited, and our students are excited, and then start choosing instructional materials and updating those. I just told our curriculum director, I said, well, you might want to stay up a little bit later tonight because you've got some work to do, and he's excited about it.
If you own a home in Billings, the passing of this levy will affect you. For example, the owner of a $200,000 home will see a $10.04 increase on property taxes next year. A hard no from Shepherd voters, where the district has not completed any major upgrades for 30 years. Voters turned down both $8.9 million high school and elementary bonds. It was a close 34-vote difference for the elementary bond, but the high school bond went down to defeat by close to 100 votes. In Laurel, it's too close to call the outcome of the $2 million elementary reserve levy, which would improve safety and security issues, land purchases, and maintenance. The unofficial final vote shows a 5-vote difference. The $1 million high school levy passed by a larger margin. That money will go towards safety and security improvements and general maintenance. Now we go to Broadview, where voters said yes to a $15,000 mill levy to support the general school fund. That will cost taxpayers less than $4 a year on a $200,000 home. Voters in the Blue Creek School District just south of Billings said yes to a $75,000 mill levy for the district's general operation. That levy will cost homeowners of a $200,000 home about $40 a year. And voters in the Pioneer School District just east of the Billings Heights saying no to a $16,000 general fund mill levy, failing by just 10 votes. A pedestrian is sent to the hospital in downtown Billings after being struck by a drunk driver. It happened around 8:30 Tuesday night near the courthouse on North 27th Street. Medics were loading the victim into the ambulance when Q2 got there. It's not known how seriously he might have been hurt, but he was rushed to the hospital. The driver of the Ford Explorer Sport Track was given a sobriety test at the scene and taken into custody in handcuffs. No word yet what charges she'll be facing. Billings police are offering a reward for information leading to the remains of Laura Johnson, a woman who went missing from Billings last fall. The $1,000 reward comes after her former boyfriend was arrested last month on suspicion of deliberate homicide. Police are seeking assistance from the public and landowners in the areas south of Laurel and east of Billings in the Shepherd, Warden, and Huntley areas. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact police. A 66-year-old Sydney truck driver has died after being dragged by a tractor trailer on a private lot in Richland County. According to the Montana Highway Patrol, the accident happened Monday night around 6:30. After parking his truck and talking to a maintenance worker, the man then stepped between the truck and the trailer. The worker, thinking the truck driver had gone inside, started the truck and began moving it, catching the victim between the truck and trailer, dragging him. The name of the victim has not been released. The incident is still under investigation and no charges have been issued at this time. A former U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service special agent now admits to possessing child pornography. 48-year-old Sean Thomas Conrad entered a guilty plea in federal court on Tuesday. He could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison, fined $250,000, and have 5 years to life of supervised release. Billings police began investigating Conrad last August while he was still employed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. A hard drive containing child porn was found in Conrad's agency vehicle. A laptop was also seized from his home, which also contained the illegal images. Sentencing is set for September 6th. In lighter news, before the USS Billings is commissioned August 3rd and begins its duties, Billings donors want to make sure it gets a proper send-off. As Q2's Andrea Lutz reports, it all began with a train ride.
The USS Billings being commissioned this summer, and because our city bears the name on the side of the ship, the pressure is on to fundraise. So through those doors, over 100 people are taking the ride of a lifetime.
All aboard! So Burlington Northern approached us and gave us an opportunity to do some fundraising for the USS Billings.
120 people boarding this historic BNSF train heading east. And they meet with one thing in common.
I think it's incredible that Billings got a ship named after it. My dad is Navy and my son is Navy. My husband was Army. So I surprised him with tickets tonight.
Each ticket costs $100. On this night alone, $10,000 is raised, but there's plenty more to go.
Now the excitement is starting to build. The community's getting excited. They're buying the hats. They're buying the challenge coins and the shirts and stuff like that. So it really is generating some positive outcomes.
So organizers say fundraising events have got to hit the mark.
Those are his passes. These are my passes.
We've been working on this for probably a year and a half, just trying to get to this point. Now the excitement is starting to build.
A fundraising committee made up of volunteers and business leaders, community leaders, all of them saying that throwing the USS Billings a party is gonna cost several $100,000. So far, already $150,000 has been raised.
The Navy finally made it official that August 3rd was going to be the commissioning date down in Key West. So we've got a lot more planning that we've been putting all the little details together as we get closer to that date.
So now that the date has been set for August 3rd in Key West, Florida, things are rolling on down the tracks. That's because the committee has a location and a menu set for Key West, Florida. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
The passengers on the train traveled to Pompey's Pillar and back for roughly 2 hours, having dinner and drinks provided by BNSF. Now we go to downtown Billings, where the next stage in a large construction project is now complete.
We've just been waiting for the sky bridge to get built. It's built now. We had to plumb it all up, square it all up. Now we're gonna hang it with the crane.
While Hanel makes it sound simple, hoisting a sky bridge into place is no easy feat. But once the area was prepped, construction crews were able to get the 95-foot, 22-ton structure into place in just about 30 minutes. The bridge will connect the Stillwater building and a new parking lot, which is still under construction. The Stillwater building used to be the old federal courthouse and was renovated after asbestos concerns. Now it's home to new offices. And demolition is underway at the Alberta Bear Theater in downtown Billings. The $12 million renovation will include a new curtain wall system and an extension of about 15 feet on each side of the building. The construction will extend the structure out to the curb line, allowing for more ease to move through the lobby and mezzanine spaces. New seating will be installed along with updated acoustics. About 3 months of demolition remain before the remodel begins.
It's nice just to see a project go from start to finish and see an older facility like this and at the completion of the project have a more functional space that's good for many years to come.
The remodel is expected to be complete by September of 2020. A weekend benefit for injured Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Wade Palmer exceeded expectations. Saturday's 301 Strong benefit had more than 900 attendees and raised more than $100,000. They watched a special message from Palmer's wife, Lindsay. She expressed her gratitude and explained all of the money raised has allowed her to stay at her husband's side while their children continue to attend school back home.
To the Blue community at home, in Utah, throughout the country, and abroad, thank you for being so encouraging, supportive, and overwhelmingly generous. I have always been and will always be proud to be an LEO wife. Please continue to keep us in your thoughts and prayers.
Palmer continues to recover at University of Utah Hospital after being shot 3 times in the head, neck, and face in mid-March.